The Newberry Library exhibition, Mapping Outside the Lines, showcases how map makers have developed a wide variety of lines to bring our world to life. The exhibition features dozens of diagrams, drawings, engravings, and lithographs, the majority from the Newberry's map collections, which number in the hundreds of thousands. Mapping Outside the Lines is free, open to all, and runs through February 14th, 2026 at the Newberry Library. For more information, visit newberry.org. Make sure you stick around after the interview for a quick conversation sponsored by Harris Theater with composer Steve Hackman about their upcoming show, Beethoven Beyonce. Today on CityCast Chicago, the last few weeks we have made some time to talk about iconic Chicago staples, whether it's a deep dive into the world of Vienna beef or a shout out to a 50-year-old submarine. I'm going to be real, that's got me a little hungry for a good old-fashioned Chicago Sammy. But which one should I pick? Luckily, we're revisiting our conversation with our friend Monica Eng, ranking some of the best sandwiches Chicago has to offer. It's Wednesday, November 12th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago's talking about. I'm here with Axios reporter Monica Eng. Monica, welcome back to the show.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Monica is also the co-author of Made in Chicago, Stories Behind 30 Great Hometown Bites. So she knows a thing or two about Chicago food. And Monica, one of the things I noticed when I first read through the book and as I was going back through it is how many of these classic Chicago dishes are sammies, right? Good old sandwiches. So why does Chicago have so many iconic ones?
Because, well, as you probably know, a lot of these were invented on the South Side. Why on the South Side? Because a lot of chains have disinvested from the South Side. And so you have independent operators out there who can say, you know what? I bet this would be good with this. Oh, and my customers like it. They don't have to call headquarters in Denver, Colorado and say, can we serve this? They say, I'm making it on the spot. I got this stuff. The people like it. And so ingenuity can flow. But in general, Chicago, you know, we got the meats. We got some bread hanging around, and so we make a sandwich.
So I've got a list of 8 sandwiches. And as we go through this, y'all, we're not talking about like your favorite chicken sandwich or your favorite banh mi or po' boy, right? We're talking about these iconic Chicago sandwiches that you can find in some restaurants across the city. And so I'm going to name a sandwich, and I want you to give me your ranking, number 1 being at the top of the list, number 8 being at the bottom. And it can be based on what you like the best or which one has your favorite story. It's entirely up to you. All right?
Fantastic. Let's do it.
Starting out the gate, the sweetsteak, right? This is chopped steak, maybe some sweet sauce, some big tomatoes, some sweet peppers, usually on like French or Italian bread. Where would you rank the sweetsteak?
Okay, we're going 1 to 8. Sorry to say, sweetsteak is at number 7.
Number 7. Oh my Lord, our rankings are so different.
It's a fascinating sandwich, no doubt. And it's got an incredible story behind it. Ed Perkins came back from, I believe, the Korean War or World War II, I believe Korean War. And then he met up with some pals in Philly. He noticed his pal in Philly had an ice cream shop and a Philly cheesesteak shop. He came back to Chicago and said, I want to make a version of this here. And so he thought and thought and thought, and he had his Tourist Flavors restaurants. And he said, okay, our version is going to be like the Philly cheesesteak, but I'm going to add that kind of neon green relish with some spicy peppers and dunk the whole thing in mild sauce. I love this story. I love that his kids kept it open, and then the crash and the final Tourist Flavors location, and yet people still loved it so much. They were still serving it, even though it had like a big hole in the front of their building. I really hope that Tourist Flavors comes back. For now, you get it at home with a hoagie. I think it's a terrific story that blends so much of Chicago. I mean, they even steam the hoagie. We're like, who else steams their rolls besides Chicago on the hot dog? And then the relish feels very Chicago. The mild sauce, obviously, very Chicago. But I just found it so intensely sweet. I was like, oh, But I will say, after I took that intensely sweet bite and I was like, I can't do anymore, what did I do? I just kept coming back for more.
I had to get some cheese on it. I mean, you can get it at Haley's Hoagies, Home of the Hoagie. I don't know. For me, this is typically swapping somewhere in the top 3. It's very filling. It's very overwhelming. But the taste is so, like, I appreciate how sweet it is. It's a good bite from start to finish. And I can't believe that you're starting out with this. Did you say number? Was this
number 7? And okay, and here,
7.
my confession, I love bitter things and I really have an aversion to sweet things. So take it with a grain of salt. And how long did you wait for your sweet steak?
It's somewhere between like 30 and 45 minutes.
Okay, I was an hour, and actually, so I developed a real hankering for it. I was hungry for anything, but I loved how like calm everyone is. It's like, guess what? It's worth it. So I'm going to wait that long.
That's what it is. All right, I'm gonna put this at number 2 on my list.
Okay.
All right. So next up, we got the Italian beef. It's so simple, right? It's bread, sliced meat, however you like your peppers, sweet, hot, dipped, maybe some cheese on it. Where are you putting the Italian beef? There's a lot of just like meat, cheese, and a steamed roll on this list.
Yeah, exactly. I've got it at number 3, depending on where you get it, because, there are good ones and then there are bad ones. And there are ones that are well spiced and ones that are not. Ones that have lots of fat in the gravy, which I love, and ones that don't. Ones that have good giardiniera and some that I don't really dig their giardiniera. This whole cheese thing feels like a last decade addition that I'm not sure I approve of, but
Where's your favorite one at?
I really like, I was doing some TV appearance for Italian Beef Day in this place called Franny's out on River Road, I want to say.
Franny's Beef in Schiller Park.
Yep, there you go. Fantastic. And I didn't realize they were like an institution out there. JP Graziano does a great one. Johnny's, of course, in Elmwood Park. And Elle's, Elle's is pretty good. Although, I miss the peppers in the giardiniera. It's mostly celery there. So how about you?
I do like Johnny's. I'm not a huge fan of the Italian beef, if I'm being honest. So for me, this is number 6 on the list. I'm a big sauce person. I like my pizza a little extra greasy. I like my wings with extra sauce. I like my sweet steak with sauce. And for me, the gravy, the beef, the peppers, it doesn't hit all of the notes for me in the same way.
Maybe add some mild sauce to it.
You can always throw some mild sauce on it. The Italian beef in many ways has become like a iconic Chicago staple, not just in the city, but something the city is known for. Like, again, for it just being a sandwich with meat, some giardiniera, why has it stood out? What in its story and its history has like pushed it to the forefront?
Well, I mean, it used to be very affordable. You could be, beef sandwiches could sometimes be a little pricey, but because it's so thin and because they add in that juice that kind of makes you feel like you're eating meat because it's bread soaked with meat sauce. But now, it's starting to get up there in price with a lot of the other ones. And I just think it was a big staple in Italian neighborhoods. It's funny, my ex-husband is a New Yorker, Italian New Yorker, and he's like, Italian beef, what? What did this come from? This is not Italian. And of course, Italians are like, I've never heard of this either. But it's a Chicago thing. And when it's good, it's really good. But there are some bad ones.
Christmas always comes early around Chicago, and if you're already dreaming of snow, Paramount Theater in Aurora is here with the holiday cheer. Snow, snow, snow. You don't get it yet? Well, how about this? Irving Berlin's White Christmas is playing from November 12th through January 11th. It's the beloved story you know and love from the classic movie, done with that Paramount flair that makes it an unforgettable experience. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're in for a great time. There's going to be epic dance numbers, spectacular costumes, pageantry, spectacle. I mean, come on. The best things happen while you're dancing. The best things happen while you're dancing. Irving Berlin's White Christmas is a family favorite that can bring generations together to celebrate the magic of the holidays. Get your tickets today at ParamountAurora.com. When you're dancing.
You know, when most of us want to learn a new language, it's not because we're dying to memorize grammar tables or ace a quiz. It's because we actually want to speak it out in the real world with real people. And that's what Babbel is great at, getting you there fast. Hey, it's Michael Zibiak, Chief Revenue Officer here at CityCast. My daughter's a senior in high school, and after graduation, we're taking a father-daughter trip to Spain. And right now, my Spanish is, let's just say, very high school level. Shout out to Senior Patty from Sayasa High School. You tried. When we're in Spain, I'd love to do more than just ask where the bathroom is. I want to be able to chat with locals, order tapas, and actually connect, not just read the menu and point. So I'm starting with Babbel. It's all about small steps, big wins, and it's super easy to fit into my life. Honestly, with how busy things get here at CityCast, I love that Babbel's bite-sized, 10-minute lessons fit right into my day, between meetings or over my morning coffee. I'm excited to pick up some real-world Spanish before we go, so we can experience Spain like locals, not tourists. Doesn't that sound better? Right now, Babbel's got a special deal for our listeners. Get up to 55% off your subscription at babbel.com/citycast. That's BABBEL.com/citycast for up to 55% off. Rules and restrictions may apply. Gracias and adios.
Guess what? CityCast has some news. I'm Sean McPherson, the host of CityCast Twin Cities.
And I'm Jane Sihu, and I'm the host of CityCast Seattle. Hey, if you have a friend in one of our cities, can you text them for us?
Yeah, something, simple like, hey, how's that rash doing? And do you listen to podcasts? Because I have one you're definitely going to like. After that, tell them that CityCast has helped you become more informed, more involved, and more connected to your amazing city.
We're going to help that person you know in Seattle who's been trying to make friends.
And we're also going to do that for that guy you only kind of knew in college who moved back to the Twin Cities after graduation.
Don't we all have that guy?
Yeah, and usually that guy is named Todd.
So did you text him yet?
Jane, let's just wait a minute. We don't want to rush anybody. We'll do a little small talk. How's everything going in Seattle?
Beautiful, beautiful. Fall leaves popping. How about Twin Cities?
Today, beautiful and sunshiny in St. Paul. Okay, Jane, I bet they are done texting by now, and I just want to remind them, hey, you, please tell that friend to subscribe to CityCast Twin Cities or Seattle, wherever you get your podcasts.
Or if you don't want to text them and you're really just on Instagram sending them DMs all the time with funny videos, send them a DM of our latest videos. You can find us at CityCast Twin Cities or CityCast Seattle on Instagram. Thanks.
All right, the next one on the list is really a combo sandwich. It's the gym shoe, corned beef, roast beef, and gyro meat, or Euro meat, as you would say.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Is that the combination? What else is on the gym shoe?
Sometimes they put tzatziki, but don't say tzatziki. Say gyro sauce, or else you will not get that white garlicky sauce.
Get your gyro, no tzatziki. At your head, no Medusa. That's all I think of. I just think of Chief Keef when I think of tzatziki sauce. Just get your gyro, no tzatziki. What a bar. What a bar. For me, I'm going to come out the gate and just say, for me, the gym shoe is number 8 on my list. It's just, it's the most overwhelming sandwich on the list. But for you, where does this rank and how did it come into being?
Okay, I have number 6. So there's a guy named Peter Engler, who's a University of Chicago trained geneticist, who's also an obsessive when it comes to Southside dishes. And he went far and near, just from every single place that served the gym shoe, to ask where it came from. And finally, there was a guy he was talking to through the plexiglass, and then a waiter, one of his cooks pokes the manager on the shoulder and says, I know, I'm going to tell him where it came from. I said, I'm finally going to find out. And he said, well, where does it come from? And the guy says, it comes from the mind. So it doesn't mean their brain's in there. The first time it showed up on sub sandwich shops on the South Side was around mid-'80s, according to Engler. So it's still a mystery where the gym shoe comes from. I think you're right. It can be very overwhelming. So I put it at 6. But if you want to have a fun party, you get the super crispy jimshu. And you ask them to take all those ingredients, the onions, the giardiniera, the crispy bits of meat that they've chopped up on the griddle, and you put it in a giant tortilla, flour tortilla. You roll it up gingerly, seal it tight with a little bit of egg, gingerly lower it into your deep fryer, and you get this enormous egg roll with so much flavor.
Fried jimshu burrito?
Yeah.
What are they doing that at?
Well, most places, it's like a secret thing. If they're not too busy, they will do it for you. So I got a super crispy jimshu once, and holy cow, was that a lot of flavor.
Where you get it, though?
I think it was Stony Sub that did it for me.
I could see Stony Sub doing that. We just talked about them recently. We was talking 24-hour restaurants, but I can 100% see them doing that. And again, in theory, the idea of, because I like a good bacon cheeseburger, right? Or I like a chicken steak bowl. Like, I don't mind mixing things together, but I'm not a huge fan of corned beef and roast beef to begin with. And gyro isn't in the top 4 of my sandwiches, but that is the one we are talking about next. The gyro. This feels about, at least for me, about as Chicago as it gets. I can't remember a time where people wasn't getting gyros. I just can't remember a time where I didn't walk into like a Nicky's or something and it wasn't on the menu, and to a Stony Sub. It's on almost every sort of local neighborhood restaurant's menu at this point. Can you describe the classic Chicago gyro?
Sure. Well, so you're going to want meat that's been nicely roasted on that spit. And then sometimes they'll even slice it off and then crisp it up even more. And then a beautifully toasted, griddle toasted Greek pita, which is different from Middle Eastern pita. This is sort of like spongier, thicker, but it should have a nice toast on it. Then you nestle that in the hot, crispy pita, and then you put on some sharp onions, some tzatziki or gyro sauce, a nice ripe piece of tomato, and of course you're going to want some fries in the basket under that. And that's the perfect gyros. When it's done well, I think it is such a thing of beauty. When it's done poorly, not so much. But Chicago is, you're right, if you're under 56, 58 years old, you probably don't know a time when it wasn't in every corner spot. But Chicago, the reason why we have all the factories here is because we're the ones who made the mass-produced uniform cone of gyros that could be sent out to all parts of the country because it was pre-cooked in this like pressure cooker that after you pour basically a meat milkshake into the cone and then pressure cook it, then you can send it out safely everywhere.
And that's typically what, like lamb?
Actually, mostly beef, a little bit of lamb. Do you know what gyros are made out of in Greece?
No.
Pork. It's a pork product in Greece. But in Chicago, we had a lot of beef. We had a lot of beef scraps, and they added a little bit of lamb and then garlic and a bunch of other seasonings and some fat in there. And we've got the uniform one with uniform seasoning throughout because it's all ground up.
Now, I know there's some people listening who, this is a dish that's gone from Istanbul to Athens to different parts of the country. But it's interesting that Chicago's, its deepest connection to Chicago is like this industrial side of the coin. I did not know that.
Yeah, we're the ones who allowed it to go to Decatur, Illinois, and everybody can have it because you no longer had to hand pack it, which is what everyone did. It became sort of a meat health hazard because it took a long time and you couldn't refrigerate it the whole time. Anyway, they're the ones who made it safe.
Yeah, my preference is a chicken gyro, but for a straight up classic gyro, where does this fall on your ranking?
I've got it at number 2. Maybe it's nostalgia from my childhood, but I have a lot of very fond gyros memories as a child.
Number 2.
When done well.
All right, let me see. Where are we at so far? You've got the sweet steak at number 7. You got the Italian beef at number 3. You got the jimshu at 6. You got the gyro at 2. I got the jimshu at 8. The Italian beef at 6. The sweet steak at 2. I think this might be my 3.
Okay.
The gyro is my number 3. So far, this is our
closest match.
This is our closest match. We got 4 more to go.
4 more.
Next up on the list is the jibarito.
Number one, ding, 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 ding,
Number
ding.
one, ding, 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 ding. And I'm a recent convert to the jibarito at number one on the Sammy Power Ranking. Sweetsteak coming into the podcast would have been my number one. I wouldn't have even known to put the jibarito up here. But since having it a couple of years ago with the homie Pinky out in Humboldt Park,
I heard that one. It was great.
yeah, it has stuck in my soul. Sliced steak, flattened and fried plantains as your breading. You've
Tomato,
got crisp
American
lettuce,
cheese, mayo.
tomato, American cheese, mayo, some garlic aioli. Monica, what's the story of the jibarito?
Well, a guy named Peter Figueroa was in his place in Humboldt Park, and his place was not doing well. He was reading a newspaper called El Vocero in the morning, and he saw a recipe for something called a sándwich de plátano, which means a plantain sandwich. His dad said, give it a try, bring it out to me. His dad was bankrolling the place. And he gave it to his dad. His dad said, this is delicious, put it on the menu. I'm going to Puerto Rico for my yearly vacation. When he came back, it was a hit. And then people started copying him. He had this huge hit with the jibarito. And jibaro is like, it's like saying hillbilly. It's not nice sometimes. But I said, well, why did you name it that? He said, because I am a jibaro from Puerto Rico. And he said, I am proud of it. Anyway, poor Peter, he ended up not being able to keep his restaurants. But he did bring something delicious to Chicago. Now it's even served in Puerto Rico. And I love it because when I was a kid growing up, my Puerto Rican grandmother, she would have like one green plantain and 4 of us had to share the tostones and each of us would get one and we had to share them. And now I'm like, oh, it can be the bread on my sandwich. This is like a dream come true. And when it's hot, when it's delicious, when it's made well, it's a mess, but it's totally the best sandwich in Chicago for me.
Yeah, I really like the one from Papa's off of Western and Division. It's close to like Campbell, but Western Division is the main intersection. All right, so we got the number ones out the way, so we can kind of fly through these last couple. Pork chop sandwich is simple, straight to the point. Pork chop Sammy. Where's the pork chop sandwich fall on your list?
I've got it at number 4, when done well, because I've had some dry ones. I've never broken a tooth. But that's always a possibility because this is bone-in. It's always a possibility. But Jim's or Express, they probably do them equally well. Now that they're paying more attention to keeping that meat juicy, I love it for its sort of like, hey, take me as I am. I'm going to keep a bone in here, and I'm
Exactly.
simple. And the fact that Jim's is always so freaking delicious and fast, and the fries are good. It's I'll get the Polish usually, but when I get the pork chop sandwich, I'm delighted that they're now really taking care to make sure it's juicy.
Nah, I'm gonna stick with you. Number 4 on my list as well. When done well, it's just good. And my mom always would do a good pork chop, and so the next day we would throw that between 2 pieces of bread if there was some leftover. So the homemade pork chop was busting for us as well. Speaking of mothers, we got the mother-in-law. This is, at first glance, you might think, oh, that's just a chili dog inside of that hot dog bun. But underneath that chili is a cornrow tamale. Again, y'all put me on this. I wasn't really familiar with these growing up. Where's the mother-in-law fall on your list?
8.
And did you eat these coming up?
I did not eat these coming up. I did eat Tom Tom tamales coming up because I loved how cheap they were. It's like, oh, look at this. I can get my own snack with my allowance, 10 cents. But it's 8. I'm sorry, carbs don't belong on carbs. And when your eyeballs see a steamed poppy seed bun and some onions and a sport pepper and then chili, you're looking for that snap of the dog in there. And then you get gush of a tamal. Not so crazy about that.
For me, I'm going to put this one at number 7 on my list. Right above the gym shoe, too much meats, cornrow tamale. I agree with you. I just prefer it to be a chili dog, but it is fire. No shot to the mother-in-law. I do think it's good, but I'd prefer that to just go and be a chili dog. And then last on the list is the pepper and egg sandwich.
Number 5.
Number 5 on your list. And I think it's also number 5 on mine.
All right. Air high five.
Come on, we got a couple that match.
Again, when done well with really good, scrambled eggs that are properly seasoned and good jardinera and good sweet peppers. I used to get this for breakfast when I would work at Navy Pier and I would go to the Billy Goat. I thought it was a delicious breakfast. Again, dried out scrambled eggs, not good peppers, no jardinera, old roll, But, for people who are, we don't have a lot of vegetarian choices in Chicago sandwiches. And so this, I think, deserves a lot of kudos.
No, this goes back to like Catholic tradition. A lot of people eat this during Lent. My grandmother would make this. It also just reminds me of like a good egg and pepper taco. It's easy to make at the crib. It feels like of a lot of these sandwiches, this one feels like the perfect after drinking sandwich to kind of soak up a lot of that, kind of help you get off right the next day. But I could see, again, the best Italian beef I could see coming up for me from 6 to 5, but I always think about the worst one. And I think the worst Italian beef is probably, I don't know, is that worse than the worst pepper and egg sandwich?
It's hard to
that's
know.
a debate, right?
Yeah.
I might swap those, but hey, I think it's, again, I can make it at the crib and it be banger. Monica, you mentioned earlier when you was talking about the pork chop sandwich, usually if you pull up on like an Express or a Maxwell's, you might get the pork chop sandwich, but you might get the Polish. I know it's a lot of people listening who be like, y'all ain't talking about the Chicago hot dog. Y'all ain't talking about the Maxwell Street Polish. Like, should that technically be on our list of power ranking sandwiches?
I think so, because the bun is a different shape. I mean, the jibarito bun is a different shape. You shouldn't discount it. And I would put the Polish at maybe at number 2. I mean, a good Polish, fast, juicy, garlicky, smoky, with those wonderful caramelized onions, and then the hot pepper, and then the yellow mustard. Oh my gosh, it's a thing of beauty.
That jump into number 3 for me immediately.
Yeah.
Give me a jibarito, a sweet steak, and a well-done Polish. I'm with you. I think that should be on our power ranking sandwiches list, but because I didn't want to give no love to the Chicago hot dog, Polishes unfortunately took the slight as well. And so maybe next time, but at least y'all know it would have cracked the top 3 for both of us had it been on there. Monica, I appreciate you for making time for CityCast Chicago, for power ranking some foods. Y'all, please check out Made in Chicago, Stories Behind 30 Great Hometown Bites. I will drop a link in the show notes. Monica, till next time, my friend.
Thanks so much. I want to put out one shout out for the chicken Polish that Jim's has introduced. So for those not eating pork or beef, it's delish. Thanks so much for talking to me.
Up next, we've got that conversation I promised you, sponsored by Harris Theater. Simone, take it away.
Hey, it's CityCast Chicago executive producer Simone Alicea, and I'm here with composer Steve Hackman. We're going to talk about a show that brings together 2 icons you would never expect, or you might not expect, Beethoven and Beyonce. The Harris Theater and Chicago Philharmonic, along with Steve, are all teaming up for a one-night fusion of Symphony No. 7 and Beyonce's biggest hits. It's part symphony, part dance party on November 20th at Millennium Park. Steve, welcome to CityCast Chicago.
Hello, Simone. Thank you so much.
So this fusion of Beethoven and Beyonce sounds wild and perfect. What on earth connects these 2 musicians across the centuries?
This piece kind of started because I had a wild dream about a music festival like a Lollapalooza that was unbounded by time. So the greatest composers of all time could be playing in the same festival grounds and collaborating with the great artists of today. I woke up from that dream thinking, what a crazy concept that is. And I started to wonder, like, who would the artist be? And then the eventual question was, who would the marquee artist be? Like, top of the billing. And Beethoven and Beyonce, like, just kind of jumped into my mind as, like, the respective king and queen of their genres. So that's kind of how the idea first came to be.
As I understand, the show celebrates and elevates the power of women. Can you talk about how that theme shows up on stage through the music and the performers as well?
Oh, wow. Well, it absolutely does. I mean, I think it of course starts with who Beyonce is as an artist and the many facets of her womanhood. And this is an absolute celebration of that. And the 3 guest vocalists that you'll see on the stage, Brooke Simpson, Malia Civets, and Brayla Cook, I think they all embody sort of different sides of Beyonce, and it's a tribute to how superhuman Beyonce is that it takes 3 mere mortals, to realize that. But these are stunning, stellar vocalists. Beyonce's power, her soulfulness, her independence, her beauty, confidence, determination, like those all come through. And I think, like I said, Brayla, Brooke, and Malia each kind of embody different elements of that.
Steve, who are some of the other soloists that we can expect to hear?
Right. Well, as I mentioned, we've got our 3 phenomenal guest vocalists, Melissa Vetz, Brooke Simpson, and Brayla Cook. But then you've got the band. And I think what makes these fusion productions so authentic is that on both sides, we're realizing this music in such a world-class and high-level way. You know, you of course have the Chicago Philharmonic playing this Beethoven symphony just like a subscription classical concert. But then in the band, I mean, gosh, Nick Clark, our bass player, is John Batiste, music director. Tehran Lockett, our drummer, is Corey Henry's drummer. And then Andrew Lipke, who's coming to play keyboards and guitar as well, is just an incredible multifaceted musician, conductor, arranger, songwriter himself. So a lot of star power on that stage.
So with all this in mind, Steve, who do you think is the audience for this show?
I know who the audience is because we've been performing these fusion pieces. I have a catalog of these productions, Beethoven Beyonce just being one of the newest. And the audience is on both sides, truly. It's, of course, going to be Beyonce fans that are interested to see her music reimagined in this way, that are interested to see it sort of elevated to the symphony stage, maybe hoping for an experience that kind of shines a new light on the music or just deepens their already robust connection. But then on the other side, it's similar. It's your classical music fans, your fans of Beethoven's, your fans of the Chicago Philharmonic, that maybe are interested in seeing what's next for this classical art form.
For someone who's never been to a performance like this before, what should they expect when they walk into Harris Theater in Millennium Park on November 20th? Are they expecting more symphony hall or more dance party?
Well, they're going to get both. That's a promise. That's an absolute promise. If the audience in Chicago is anything like I expect it to be, there will be a lot of dancing and singing along, that's for sure. But keep in mind, we play the entirety of the Beethoven 7th Symphony. We are weaving in with it all of these songs of Beyonce, all these favorite kind of hit songs of hers. So the extraordinarily beautiful and heartbreaking second movement of the Beethoven 7th Symphony, which many people will recognize even though they might not know it by name, then gives way to the song Halo by Beyonce. Then it threads back to Beethoven. Then we have Daddy Lessons, then back to Beethoven. And we continually kind of oscillate between the two throughout the course of the evening.
I got to say, Steve, this sounds really exciting. And thank you so much for joining me to talk about it.
Thank you for having me. I can't wait. My hometown.
Well, welcome back. We're so glad to have you. Listeners can catch Beethoven Beyonce with the Chicago Philharmonic at the Harris Theater on Thursday, November 20th. And also, CityCast listeners are going to get 25% off tickets with the promo code CityCast. Just head to harristheaterchicago.org to grab yours before November 19th.
Before we get out of here, make sure you bookmark our website, chicago.citycast.fm. Make sure you subscribe to our daily newsletter, Hey Chicago. And if you got it like that, please sign up to join our CityCast Chicago neighbors. We trying to get to over 500 by the end of the year. So what do you get, right? You're going to get ad-free listening, access to neighbors-only event. Every week, we're going to send you an email with some of our favorite things happening in and around the city. And of course, you can keep supporting the best damn podcast and newsletter in this city. Now, you know, I ain't gonna let you go without some good news. I got a couple of events I want to put on your radar today, including a rapid response training for students and young people at UIC is going down tonight from 4 to 6:30. We are right now inside of Whistlemania 2.5. Shout out to Belmont, Craig, and United. These are events taking place across the city where volunteers are coming together to put together these whistle kits to teach each other how to stand up and look out for our community members. You got food drives happening in and around the city all week and all month long. I'm gonna drop a link in the show notes to our friends over at Real One Show, who've put together a good compilation of some of these community events taking place in the city this week. As always, we appreciate you for listening and reading. We're going to be back bright and early tomorrow. We'll talk to you then. Peace.